morning. Let's talk about balance. Hey everybody, it's Allie. I'm on a fantastic weight loss journey and hopefully you'll come along for the ride. So today I'm going to be talking about balance, and this is something that I've received many comments about. So thank you for commenting. And I wanted to talk about it because my view on balance is very different now that I'm 54 pounds down into my weight loss journey than it was when I started. And I just want to give you guys some perspective in case you're just starting out or you're in the process of healing your relationship with food, because I think this will help. Grab your favorite drink, let's hydrate, and let's talk about it. I've been thinking about making this video all night, and I woke up very early this morning and it was all I could think about. So if you're wondering why I'm in bed, crazy hair, don't care, it's because I've been doing a lot of thinking and I want to make sure that I cover all the bases when it comes to balance. So first and foremost, let's talk about diet, right? Because I have said many times on my channel in every video that I possibly can that I do not recommend a fad diet, right? I recommend that you eat a balanced diet so that you can help heal your relationship with food. Because for many years, all of us have been just pummeled by diet culture telling us fat is bad, carbs are bad, protein's good, protein's bad, this is good, this is bad. Like, it's too much. And it's time to let all of that go. So eating a balanced diet can look different for each individual, right? It's not about set numbers. And so often I see people, especially posting in the support groups, and they're like, what number protein do I need to hit? What number carbs do I need to hit? Should I keep my fats under this number, right? That number is going to change for each individual. And if you're looking for just an overall guideline to get you started, not an exact number, not an exact science, you can go to the tdeecalculator.com. You can also use it to calculate your estimated calories that you need, and then also your estimated calorie deficit. I say estimated because, again, it's not perfect, and we need to accept that. It's not going to give you this holy grail number that you need to live and die by, right? It's going to get you started. Now, if you're looking for exact numbers, if you're looking for exactly what you need, and that's important to you, then I highly recommend that you meet with a nutritionist or a dietitian who can get all of the information about you as the individual so that they can help you as the individual. Because you'll see people that are out there just making these big sweeping statements. Oh, you need this many calories, you need this much protein. That's not true for each person. Case in point, the protein recommendation for men is going to be higher than women. So that right there negates the whole, oh yeah, you can just make this blanket statement and it covers everybody. No, there's a big difference there, and you have to account for that. So you can go to the calculator to kind of get you started. And what you want to look at is, after you enter in all of your information, you can scroll down and it will give you options. It'll give you options for higher protein. It'll give you options for low carb. It'll give you options for low fat, right? And what you want to look at is you want to look at those numbers and see, and I think it's the first option, which is going to be more of a balanced diet, right? Because the idea of restriction is part of the problem. It's part of what got us to where we are, especially for me, right? I mean, if you're one of those people who dieted and restricted calories and said, I'm not allowed to have sweets, I'm not allowed to have sugar, I'm not allowed to have fast food, I'm not allowed to have anything, no pizza, right? And then what happens? A week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, you're binging, just shoveling it in your mouth. And you're like, well, I derailed my diet. I'll start it on Monday. Or I'll try again tomorrow. Right? That kind of mindset is what helped to keep us overweight and unhealthy before. And we want to change that. But we don't want to go to the other extreme. And this is where I see people go wrong. So we go from, oh, I'm going to restrict, I'm a terrible person, I can't do this, I can't have this, I can't have that, to the exact opposite extreme. I'm going to eat whatever I want, I'm going to do whatever I want, I'm going to rely on this GLP-1 medication to just suppress my appetite, so I eat smaller portions, but I'm going to eat garbage whenever I want. And I'm going to tell people to do the same. I'm going to tell them, you don't have to count your calories, and you can still lose weight. That's okay. So we went from this end of the extreme, which didn't work and was not a good idea. Now we flippy-flopped to the other end of the extreme. Let's not do that. Because we're still at either end of the extreme, right? And this is where we come to the balance. Perfect example of this is on Monday, I did a what I eat in a day video per a subscriber's request. It was not a planned day. I did not plan my meals. I went solely based off of how I was feeling. I was having a lot of appetite suppression that day. So if you struggle with that, go watch that video. And I was just winging it based off of what I have learned so far and tracking my calories. And what I ended up eating was lower carb, higher protein, high fiber. Because that's what I felt like eating. And then the next day, which was yesterday, Tuesday, I ended up having a day that was much higher in carbs, still a good amount of protein. I still met my protein goal, but considerably higher in carbs than I had done the day before. Again, I didn't plan my day. It's just the way it happened. So for lunch, I had the same type of wrap that I did in that video. But like I said in my video, I used one of the keto tortillas. And then I ended up having chips, my sun chips, as a snack. Again, they're portioned out into portion sizes, so I'm not just eating straight out of the bag. And then dinner, I had a sandwich that had bread, right? Not the end of the world. I actually, this will really blow your mind, I actually went over on my calories. Not upset about it. Not freaking out. It's okay. I didn't get down on myself. I didn't beat myself up. I didn't say, oh my gosh, I went over my calories and now I have to exercise at 8 o'clock at night to offset those calories that I ate. No. Because it's all about balance. I know, based off of many, many weeks of being on this journey, that having a day where I go over my calorie deficit is not the end of the world. And it's actually a good thing. You don't want to be in a strict calorie deficit for long, long periods of time. You need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, but you got to give your body a break every now and then. So I don't panic if I go over. And there are some days where I have super suppression, like the day after my shot, where I am just powering through trying to reach my calorie goal. And many times I fall a little bit short. But I know it's going to balance out, because then a couple of days later, I have a day like yesterday where I went over my calories a little bit. And it's okay. Now, for some perspective, if that had happened to me on a weight loss journey 5 years ago, I would have done exactly all the things that I just told you. I would have been beating myself up. I would have been like, oh, I really screwed this up. I can't do anything right. Why can't I get this right? Now I'm not going to lose any weight. Well, just forget it. I'll just eat whatever. This is pointless. Right? And I would get really down on myself. Part of healing that relationship with food, part of having balance, is saying, some days I'm going to eat less. Some days I'm going to eat more. Having said that, I want to emphasize that you need to eat on a GLP-1. You cannot just let the appetite suppression make you starve yourself, because it will cause problems long term. So please don't misunderstand me. But there's comfort in knowing what's going to happen every week. And I think that in the beginning, when you're first starting out on a GLP-1, you're just trying to navigate side effects. You're not in a place mentally where you can really start to see it yet. I hope that makes sense. But you reach a certain point, and the longer you're on each dose, the more your body becomes used to it. And you get to a point where you reach kind of this level of homeostasis, and you start to be able to focus on your relationship with food, right? Because you don't have the food noise constantly bothering you. And you can just eat to nourish your body, not eat because you're obsessed with eating, not eat because you're bored. And the thing is, I still have those feelings. I still have days where I have some food noise. I still have days where I get bored and I'm like, okay, let me, go into the kitchen and see what I can eat. And then as I'm standing there, I think, am I really hungry? Or am I bored? Okay, let's grab a drink, right? Because I'm trying to stay hydrated, and let's find something to do. And 9 times out of 10, I'm just bored, right? Because that was part of my challenges before. Get bored, eat. Sad, eat. hungry, eat. Happy, eat. Right? We're celebrating, eat. I had a great day, eat. I had a bad day, eat. Right? But we have to break that. We have to break that thought process, and it takes time. It's not something you can do overnight, but you can work on it every day. Remember, I tell you guys all the time, every meal is an opportunity. And every day is an opportunity. Back to balance. So, we've talked about balance in calories, right, over the week. We've talked about balance in what you're eating, right, in the amount of protein and the amount of carbs and the amount of fat. We're not looking for one of those numbers to be extremely high and the others to be extremely low, right? That's diet culture. We've talked about balance of mind, right? So we're trying to look at things differently. We're not beating ourselves up, but we're also not celebrating and using food to celebrate, right? Because then we're at either end of the extremes. Balance is about being in the middle. There are people who post all the time about, I'm going to go on a cruise. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going, there's a holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Can I skip my shot so that I can enjoy myself? Now, for most people on a GLP-1 journey, they would read that and they wouldn't think anything about it. For me, because of where I am, when I read that, it tells me that that person has not healed their relationship with food. I started right before Thanksgiving. So I had 2 holidays back to back, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Both involve a lot of food. And I was just starting out on a GLP-1. And the thought never crossed my mind to skip a shot. One, because that would set me back. And becoming healthy is very important to me. It's a priority. And 2, that doesn't help me heal my relationship with food. That doesn't help me navigate things for the future, for situations when I may not have access to this medication, right? So the person who posted that they were going to go on a cruise and they wanted to be able to get off the medication so that they could have a good time and drink and eat, my response to them was, unpopular opinion here, do you have to drink in order to have fun with your friends? Because if the answer is yes, you can't have fun with your friends unless you're drinking, that sounds like that whole scenario needs more thought. If you can't go and enjoy yourself and eat while on this medication, that sounds like it needs more thought. Because I can go anywhere. I can go out to eat. I can go to Thanksgiving. I can go to Christmas. I can go to a birthday party, to a baby shower. I can go anywhere. I could go to a place that only serves dessert and be 100% fine and have a good time and enjoy the people around me. But to get to that point, you have to heal your relationship with food. You can't just say, well, I don't want to be the only sober one there. I'm not going to have any fun. Says who? it's actually a good idea for one person in the group to remain sober. Even if you're on a cruise ship, it's still a good idea to make sure everybody gets back to their room okay, to make sure that nothing bad happens, that nobody gets lost, right? That nobody, forgets their purse, like whatever. If you're out with friends, right, not on a cruise ship, then you've got somebody who's the DD. Are they just automatically not having fun? Because I've been the DD plenty of times, and it's been an absolute hoot. So that's why I'm saying those thought processes need more thought around them. Because if you can't go to dinner and not have a glass of wine, that tells me that there's something else going on there, and you really need to look at that. And like I said, it's an unpopular opinion. People do not like it. They don't. They really, really don't. There are plenty of ladies who like to have that glass of wine every night. There are plenty of guys who like to have that whiskey every night. And I'm not saying that you can't if you account for those calories, but it is going to significantly slow down your weight loss. So if you're okay with that, okay, then that's your choice. But I encourage you to think about balance. To think about, do I have to have this every night? If yes, why? When you start asking yourself why, that's when you start to find the balance. You find it in what you eat, in your calories for the week, in your thought processes around food, around special occasions, right? And you start to ask yourself why about what other people are doing. There was a lady that posted that her husband gets really upset because they go out to eat and she doesn't finish her meal. Why? Why is that important to him? Why does that affect him? And there are a lot of different emotions and situations and things that we deal with in interacting with others. So I'm certainly not implying that you can heal everybody, right? But we can take responsibility for ourselves, and we can try to put ourselves in a better place mentally in the long term. And I think that that is what is the difference between people who get off this medication and are able to maintain the weight loss and people who get off this medication and gain all the weight back, right? Which, people credit that to, well, our bodies are broken. And for some people, that's the case, right? For some people, they're on this medication and they need to stay on it lifelong. But don't forget, there's nowhere in the insurance handbook that says that they have to cover a medication forever. And these medications are expensive. So you can be dropped from these medications at any time. There was a lady, I think I mentioned it in another one of my videos, who was on the medication for a year, and she is diabetic, and her insurance dropped it and said, hey, you've been on it for a year, you've lost 80 pounds, you're no longer diabetic, right? It's in remission, I guess you would call it. And so now we're going to kick you off of this medicine and make you go to metformin, which used to make her very, very sick, right? Insurance companies can do that. And that sucks. So instead of worrying about, is that going to happen to me? Because I do worry, is that going to happen to me? Instead of focusing on that, let's focus on building this foundation, doing the work now while we're in the weight loss process to better help us in the future. And then if we need to stay on the medication long term, absolutely, we're going to do the best we can to do that, right? And we hope for the best that insurance will keep us on it, right? And we'll just keep going. But the other thing you have to keep in mind is at some point, your body is going to get used to the medication. So you're going to stop losing weight. So you still need that foundation, right? Of healthy eating, healthy mind, healthy lifestyle, so that you can achieve that balance. Okay. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It helps my channel a lot. And let me know down in the comments where you are on your journey and how you're feeling about balance. Do you feel like you're balanced? Do you feel like you're learning? Do you feel like you have a ways to go? And we're going to talk about this more in the future. So let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you. And as always, be kind, rewind.